So I'm in one of possibly the most beautiful habitats in Penwith, although I have to say I always think that whichever habitat I'm in, but this is one of my favourites. I'm in sand dunes, and this is on the edge of Sennen Cove up ahead, and this is very different to a lot of the habitats that we've looked at earlier, and the reason it's so different is this stuff, sand. So what's sand made of? It can be quite often made up of broken up rocks, but often on a beach like this, sand is made of shells, and shells are made of calcium carbonate, and when that breaks down, that makes an alkaline environment, and an alkaline environment makes for a fantastic diversity of wildflowers. So Cornwall, 2% of Cornwall's area is a sand dune habitat, and 20% of its wildflowers are found in sand dunes, so it's incredibly diverse. Now the area we're in at the moment has got masses of this stuff, and this is one of the plants that forms the dunes in the first place. This is called Marum Grass, and what this does is when the wind blows the sand up off the beach, Marum Grass traps it, slows the wind down, and the sand drops and builds the dunes. So this is a pioneer plant which starts to form the dunes off. Marum Grass is an extraordinary plant. It can grow right down almost on the edge of the beach where there's no soil at all, the sand is shifting a lot. It's got very deep roots, it can go right down and find water, and it can cope with being buried in sand. It doesn't mind being buried in sand at all. But what it can't cope with is competition. So if you have a look over this side, the Marum Grass is perhaps the dominant plant on this side, but then over behind me here you can see that the Marum Grass starts to lose out to other plant species, and that's when you've got true soil forming. So you've got all sorts of different things in there. Perhaps we'll have a little look in a little bit more closer when we find some more nearby. So let's have a look at a few of the plant species. This little one down here, can you see this one? This little yellow one here, I love that one. That's called lady's bedstraw. I think perhaps they used it to put in mattresses in the olden days, maybe. This one, now this is an interesting one. This is one that causes quite a lot of concern. We've actually got quite a lot of this plant around. This is called common ragwort, and the reason it's perhaps controversial is because if livestock eats it in hay, it can be toxic, and so it's perhaps a good idea if you've got a lot of it on your land to pull it up to get rid of it. I think they can tell what it is while it's growing, so if you had animals grazing on your land, it wouldn't be quite such an issue, but if it's cut and goes into hay. So as we go inland, we have less Marum Grass and more of the plants that need a little bit of soil and a bit more stability, and it's a really lovely illustration of what's known as succession. So succession is the process by which a habitat changes from being open ground, open sand or open soil or open water, gradually becomes colonised by what are known as pioneers, and Marum Grass is a pioneer species, and then gradually as other plants come in, eventually you go through different stages, ecological stages, and you eventually reach what's called the climax community. So probably, eventually, if you went inland far enough, you would reach, usually you'd reach woodland. In Penwith, a lot of the habitats inland are actually heathland or moorland. So if we walk up to the top of these dunes and beyond, then we come into moorland. Okay, that's a little bit of a introduction to sand dune ecology. So I think, oh, there's just one more plant I'd just like to show now. I've just spotted it. This is the wild version of an edible plant, and this is wild carrot. Beautiful. It's called an umbellifer. It's in that family, the umbelliferae family. And what I find fascinating about wild carrot is it's white. All the little tiny petals are white, apart from the ones right at the centre. I don't know if you can see that. I'll bring you in closer. Can you see right in the centre? You get a couple of deep red coloured petals. Not always, but quite often, and I don't really know why that is. If anybody knows, you could let me know in the comments below. That'd be great. Okay, I think we will stop there, and I'll talk to you again another time.